Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm Alexis Soto, joined by one of my very best friends, who also happens to share the exact same name as I. I feel the need to just point that out every now and then because people might be confused. This is Alexis Moreno. We're here, of course, with the podcast that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more. And this week, we have a little bit of that more that we've been leaning on lately. I will say that with the last few months, it's becoming increasingly just much more blurred together, the worlds of the movie world and the political space, because at the moment, you know, Jonathan Alter, I believe that's the reporter's name. Maybe I fucked it up. Doesn't matter. The point is, he did some reporting saying that it turns out that the Trump administration might actually be getting involved in blocking the Netflix deal with WB Discovery and maybe helping MAGA Paramount acquire WB after all. And that, I'm sorry, you cannot separate that and ignore the MAGA politics, because that very much is guiding all of this. We're at a moment in time right now where the far right wing, the alt-right, the fascist MAGA, some like Nick Fuentes would prefer the term Nazis, but hey, they're trying to capture culture. They're trying to capture as much power as possible. And on the other side of things, you have a completely inept political party called the Democrats that identify as weaklings, and their last names are fecklessness, in that they're not even bringing any kind of awareness or attention to the danger of these really crazies trying to capture as much power as possible. That way we can influence even more so people who have no idea how politics work. It's so rich to me. And by the way, we're already going into the rants. This is the opening rant. I saw today a really good poll release that supposedly they say that they're waiting it for the 2024 election, you know, as if they were great back then, because the polls were so weird back then anyway. But supposedly they asked, hey, if the election were held again today, who would you vote for? And by a margin of plus 8 points, Kamala Harris won that poll that was released today. Well, congratulations, Harris. You won a poll. Good for you. You finally got a poll where you came out ahead, and it's meaningless and useless. Because personally, that's all well and good. But for me, I don't even think she would win today, to tell you the truth. If we had a do-over, because you know why? I have lost faith completely in that kind of Democratic candidate that is very much an empty vessel and is a cipher for corporate propaganda, like most of them are. And ultimately, if we're going to be real, she lost because of that, and because she failed to motivate many of her own base to go out and vote for her, because she was so busy campaigning with Liz Cheney to go after Republican voters. And because that was a big L, and she completely lost all credibility and decency, the rest of us have now been punished because of her idiocy to be able to be a complete moron who went on a stage and said that Haitians are eating cats and dogs. And now we're in this moment in time in which the only thing that Joe Biden accomplished was to ban TikTok, which then got kicked off to some other third-party distributor, and the Allisons, who own Skydance Paramount, who are trying to acquire WB, now also have control of TikTok, and through Trump, now has influence over TikTok, Paramount, Skydance, CBS, thanks to Barry Weiss and all that acquisition. They're cleaning house, firing Anderson Cooper, firing Stephen Colbert. Interestingly enough, which personalities they're firing. They also have control of the FCC, which just this week was basically censoring what kind of politicians would be invited on and given equal airtime, because all of a sudden they care about that. That wasn't being enforced before, but it was made very obvious why. The Texas senatorial candidate, James Tallarico, who most people say has the best chance of any Democrat to win that seat in this November election coming up, they told Stephen Colbert, as he says, in no uncertain terms, he couldn't put him on air, so they had to put it on the YouTube channel, which backfired spectacularly because millions of people went to go watch that video, and it timed out perfectly because early voting in Texas starts this week, and he's getting a big boost out of that. So that backfired amazingly. But the point is this, it's like we can't even begin any show that we cover media, and we cover the movie, Hollywood, movie news, whatever space. We can't begin any show without acknowledging the insanity of what is happening in the moment, where we have the president of the United States and his acolytes, the right-wing individuals who he has empowered that are enacting fascism all over the country, are seeking to capture all kinds of media. That way, people who are coming of age don't know any better. We're living in a very dangerous time in which empathy and sympathy are commodities that people no longer seem to care, and it has done such irreparable harm that we've had children and young adults coming of age in an era where this asshole piece of shit is the president and is espousing the politics of fuck you, it's all for me, none for you. And we saw with 2024 the dangers of the idiocy and the stupidity of not just the young people who were not at all previously exposed to politics, but were brought in via the comedian, right-wing, working out, boner pill, WWE people space, the bros, the podcast bros that brought in people because they thought Trump was funny. And you know what? I agree with you. He is hilarious. He's a dumbass. Thundering dumbass. He has harmed so many people throughout all of his life, externally, and probably also, I'm not even sure, probably would be even a qualifier here. He has physically harmed people and has been found liable in court to have sexually assaulted people. Okay, fine. You don't like him personally, or maybe you like his bravado or whatever. His policies do not work. Conservative Republican policies have not worked. And since the 1980s, we've had a rule of the top class here that have screwed the rest of us, because whether it be weak Democrats who are kind of half Republicans, or Republicans who are basically full-blown just Margaret Thatchers, or like complete, like, or dinosaur, mega super duper Margaret Thatchers who just like doing austerity politics all over the place. We've had 40 years of a working class that has been decimated. And now we're also on the precipice where every single week we're looking at these different industries who are now reducing everything because AI is now being forced upon every single industry, which is going to further result in people losing their careers, losing their lives. I just saw this week that Wendy's is downsizing, that Red Lobster is down. Fast food has gotten so expensive for people that the fast food industry is now downsizing. Things are so bad now that people are admitting in polls that, you know what, maybe the economy wasn't that bad under Biden after all. Which, by the way, it wasn't great. Yeah. Austerity politics all over the place, and inflation up the wazoo, and communication worth a damn at all. It was a bad economy. You can say the metrics, whatever. For the working people, it's been a bad economy for 40 fucking years. And the Democrats played their part in that as well. That was a completely unhinged rant. I did not even know that this is what would be coming out of my mouth when I started this rant, but I think it all just came together and it needed to be said. And obviously this sets the tone for what this first hour is going to be, because it is a lot of this. Because if you thought that what we were showing you for the previous 4 weeks was bad enough, strap yourselves in, because it gets worse. It gets, yes, weirder, but it also gets even more scary. Last year, Alexis shared with us her experience of visiting historical concentration camps. I believe Auschwitz was one of those concentration camps you visited, correct, Alexis, last year? No, which one was it?
Dachau. I can't pronounce it.
Okay,
the very first one.
Okay. All right. Well, anywho, here we are in 2026, and we're currently in America looking to open our own concentration camps, looking for some warehouses ICE, of course, a secret police that is acting unilaterally on behalf of the president with no oversight whatsoever. Currently looking for new places to house a bunch of people, as we say. Just another day in America, another year in America. For me, as someone who has seen the dangers of this, you have to really just stop yourself and pinch yourself just how far we've fallen in such short amount of time. I personally was very disgusted and put off by the obviously overt racism against Barack Obama very immediately when he became the president. And I want to just be clear with you. I thought Barack Obama ultimately failed as the president for a lot of reasons. He did some good things, as did Joe Biden. I will give him that. But both of them fundamentally failed because what happened after both of their presidencies? Trump came into power. I don't think get to call yourself a generational presidency that people are going to look back fondly if at the end you get that as your replacement. Something went wrong along the way and people don't want to say it out loud. But yes, we have a lot of stories today about the state of the world, the state of this country, where things are going. And yes, it is, while may not always be what is the focus of our conversation, because obviously, without due respect, this is a lot bigger than movies, but the movies themselves are also being put on the line based on what happens with these people that are just playing power politics for their personal gain. But yeah, Alexis, anything that you wish to add as far as we start off with this week? Last week we were trying to be a lot more bright. We had, the last couple of weeks we were talking about the Super Bowl, Bad Bunny, the Grammys. It was fun. We definitely, I'm not sure how much positivity we're going to have tonight, but we're going to do our very best. So, Alexis.
I agree with everything you said. I don't think we're at all surprised that that's how it started. Yeah, I don't know. Everything sucks.
Yes. Okay. If there's a place to start, I do think let's get some of the darkest shit out of the way with first, because some of that is going to be some really hard, to stomach. But I feel like last week or the week before, I should say, we started with, I know it's hard to keep track of these days, which podcast is what, because some of them are kind of being recorded out of order, so it may even be 2 episodes ago at this point. But last we spoke of the president and his connection to the Epstein files. We have more information to share with you that I think is quite pertinent to you, the audience member. And then also, just to be clear, even though you may not be interested in having this be in this kind of show, it is, for our sakes, a way to just journal, and just log all of this crazy crap, because part of the difficulty that we've been having with this particular presidency is that scandals are happening literally all of the time. But you know what? We'll actually begin with a humorous clip. There is so much news breaking literally all the time that a former president of the United States went on a podcast and casually let something slip. Not even let something slip. He just admitted to it, and no one gave a shit. Here it is.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
That was former President Barack Obama just flat out saying aliens exist. No one cared.
No one.
Literally, this came out on the weekend. It was maybe like the 10th most popular story of the day. No one cared. Maybe it would have been made bigger if he had said, "Yes, I've seen them." That probably would have gotten more attention. But him saying, "No, they're real," and then what I think made it an even bigger story was a few days after he had to release a different statement. Just to be clear, it's like, "Hey, wait a minute. I didn't mean that they're actually real. I meant to say I believe that they exist." I
Okay.
don't know if anyone buys that. I think the way that he said it in the clip okay, first of all, is it really news? In a way, we kind of know at this point. I mean, yeah. Also, if a story like this had come out during the Obama years, let's just say if Bush went on a podcast and he said, yeah, aliens are real, that would be like a huge story.
Yeah. Well, like, didn't the news or whatever come out with, like, the aliens are real, like, a few years back, and, like, still nobody cared because everything was
This happens
just
all
crap?
the time. You know, I thought it was funny that this clip, because right now we're doing the Spielberg files on the show. This clip came out the day after I rewatched E.T. I thought was funny. And it's weird because at the same time Spielberg is getting ready to release a new Alien movie, and the subject matter is very much this.
Yeah.
With what he was alluding to at the end there, a vast conspiracy, which, you know, not impossible. I mean, talking about a vast conspiracy, we have a secret cabal of pedophiles apparently. So I mean, crazier things have happened. So I mean, that wasn't the clip that I was intending to begin with, but I just feel that kind of just sells the point that we're not living in normal times. Anyway, here's a California Democratic Representative Ted Lowe, who was just talking today about, I believe he has seen the unredacted Epstein files. This is what he said.
The fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
In another day and time, that sentence alone would have been enough to bring down a presidency. Like that. There would have been hearings that afternoon, maybe a vote in 2 weeks, and it would have been very clear he would have been impeached and removed, and so he would have resigned in shame. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there have been some European politicians since these Epstein files were released that have resigned, because that's just the thing that you do if you have any decency whatsoever. Not here, obviously. But that alone is unbelievable, and
it gets me angry that more people are not coming out and like just saying it out loud. Like I don't understand.
No. Also, this shouldn't
because
really
it's
be a
also like,
surprise.
if you really are trying, like, this guy, let's say the next guy, like, you know, if he gets really angry and like wants to do something about it, why wouldn't you say something? And what is Trump and his administration going to do?
I mean, those are all great points. You know what I can't get over, and what needs to be talked about more, is, first of all, Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files. He ran on that, and a lot of his less than educated fan base, shall we say, believed him that he was going, yeah, we're going to get the Epstein files, we're going to get all the pedophiles, and then they end up being Republicans, and it's like, oh, anyway, let's go back to talking about immigrants. Crickets. All the while, again, we want to be sure to and spread the blame around. The gross incompetence and ineptitude of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the entire apparatus of the Democratic Party, beyond not even being able to prosecute Trump for all the other obvious crimes. Why didn't you fucking release these files? Day 1, 2021.
Yep.
And this is why Democrats hate me. No, well, they hate me, but this is why I hate them so much, because I can't decide who I'm more angry at. The actual pedophile himself, or the idiots who allowed them to get away with this kind of crime.
Yeah.
Anywho, here's Kyle Kalinske kind of elaborating on just the fishiness of the entire history of Trump with young girls.
We know that Epstein allegedly learned human trafficking tricks from Trump's teenage modeling agency. I can't get over this, right? Like, it's so crazy to me that the Democrats don't hammer away on this and the media doesn't talk about this more. What kind of grown-ass man, Donald Trump, probably in his 40s at the time, goes, I'm getting into a new business. Teenage modeling. Could you imagine that I went up to Crystal and I was like, hey, Crystal, I'm opening up a new side business. I'm going to run a teenage modeling agency. Yeah, no big deal. I'm just going to traffic some girls from Croatia who are 15 years old. And don't worry, it's all on the up and up. And I'm going to give them modeling opportunities and make them a lot of money. Are you kidding me? That whole business was rife with abuse. The whole point was the abuse. John Casablancas, Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein. Go look into these people. They're literal proven pedophiles. In fact, Jean-Luc Brunel died in prison, committed suicide the same way Jeffrey Epstein went, and he was a well-known pedophile. And Trump basically gave Ivanka over to these people. I don't think you really understand the depths of the depravity among these people, y'all. I don't think you get it. I don't think you really understand. When Trump hosted a private event with teenage models at Mar-a-Lago, it was only Trump and one other person there, Jeffrey Epstein. Why don't people talk about this? Why don't they bring it up? Okay? Why don't they bring up that Michael Wolff said he saw the picture of Trump with underage girls and Trump had a stain on his pants and they were bending over and pointing at him and laughing? Why don't they talk about that? Why don't they talk about the picture that's the giant check of Trump handing a check to Epstein in Mar-a-Lago, and it says he's buying a depreciated girl? Remember that one? And I could go on here, bro. We could talk about Katie Johnson. Go watch my whole breakdown of Katie Johnson. In 2016, there was a lawsuit filed against Trump and Epstein, and it's somebody whose alias is Katie Johnson. They didn't want to give their real name. And they ended up dropping the case in 2016, but she alleges that in 2014, Epstein and Trump raped her, and she has incredibly detailed stories. Now, some people say, oh, she dropped the story because it wasn't true. Other people say, no, she was threatened. She was threatened by Trump, okay? Then you got the new stuff, the Sasha Riley stuff. I still plan to do a detailed segment on that, but Sasha Riley blows the whistle on this stuff as well. You have the FBI intake forms, the limo driver in Dallas who says he heard Trump talking on the phone to Epstein about, quote, abusing girls. The story of Dusty in Oklahoma in 2000, where Trump allegedly raped her and she wound up dead, and cops said, I don't think that was a suicide. Trump's got so much dirt on him. So much dirt. Fucking Mar-a-Lago was subpoenaed in the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation because they thought it was the hub of child trafficking. Okay?
If even one of these things were alleged against a Democratic president, the Republican media apparatus, the politicians, the podcasts, Alex Jones, InfoWars, Nick Fuentes, Newsmax, Fox News, they would be saying this every day, every hour on the hour. Now, because this is being alleged against a Republican president, what do the Democrats do? They say nothing. They do nothing. They don't bring it up unless they're asked about it. They don't coordinate with each other on a message. I believe I saw I saw one Democratic senator called Chris Coons that was saying that it's a shame that the younger generation is not appreciating Israel enough and that they're getting a lot of misinformation about on TikTok. So he can go fuck himself. There's another senator, Democrat, that said he likes to think himself as the John McCain of the Democrats and how he loves Lindsey Graham. That's what they choose to talk about. Oh, yes, this. We're gonna take a break from this, but it very much feeds into what I was just saying. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, who continues to get worse, and he is given an amazing. It wasn't even a question. It was more like a, hey, what the fuck, man? What have you been doing? And he gets pissed off at the question because he's been doing nothing but caving and folding. Hakeem Jeffries, by the way, who the entirety of last year could not bring himself to endorse Zohran Mamdani, which tells you that he perhaps was pulling for Cuomo, who, by the way, assaulted or harassed women. But okay, behind the scenes, who got mad at Chris Van Hollen, another Democratic senator, and downright forbid any of his colleagues to go visit the prisoners in El Salvador, who got mad at Ro Khanna for trying to joining the protesters in Minneapolis earlier this year against ICE and said, no, you cannot, you're not allowed to go and protest with them. You're not allowed to do anything. Shut up. And who just last week said, do not come to the State of the Union address with the intent of protesting the event. Either wear pink like we usually do, or get the fuck out.
This is stupid.
This is the uselessness of this man, who Charlemagne the God, I think, beautifully coined AIPAC Shakur. So let's go ahead and hear from AIPAC Shakur. Ridiculous.
Impunity.
Representative, may I?
Yes.
I'm going to give you some numbers. Just today, it came out that ICE is using $38 billion to convert warehouses into camps. I'm going to call them concentration camps. Your colleague, Representative Raskin, went to one just yesterday in Maryland and said there were 60 people cramped like sardines in one room who only had access to one toilet. 65% of people taken by ICE had no convictions. That's from the Cato Institute, a right-wing institute. ICE has killed 8 people this year alone that we know of. 2 of them, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Pretty. The latest polls came out this week, AP polls. Over 60% of Americans now disapprove of ICE. That means in 3 weeks, it's gone from 30% to 60%. Now, if I may, I'm going to be a bit blunt here. Leaders lead. And what we've seen is people are impressionable. If you lead on something, people will follow. It seems the wind is behind your back for the first time ever. ICE has a history. CPP has a history of terrorizing Black and brown communities. People are asking themselves, why are we, our taxpayer dollars, paying for masked, lawless men to terrorize our communities, kidnap people, take children, and kill Americans? So I ask you, and I'm doing a following up to Joy, because I want an answer to this. You said you want to rein in ICE. I'm talking about the long term now. Why not lead and say abolish ICE? Because what you're telling us is you want our taxpayer dollars to pay for a lawless masked armed agency to continue terrorizing our cities. And I'm trying to figure out how you, as a leader, can be telling Americans that their taxpayer dollars should be going to ICE.
I don't understand anything that you just said. When
I spoke English.
I don't understand anything that you've just said to me when I've made clear that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight right now. That's the whole reason the DHS is getting ready to shut down. That's the
So
whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
You agree
we
with
are
me and Joy.
voting.
Abolish ICE.
That is listen, I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use. And the language that I'm using right now relates to these type of bold, meaningful, dramatic changes that are designed to save lives right now in communities that look like the ones that I represent. And that's the goal.
So let me
In
ask
this
you this.
fight.
Yeah. And I
And
hear what you're
holding
saying.
every
That,
single Democrat
Mhm.
together in the House and in the Senate is what we're trying to do to give us the best shot to win this fight right now while we're in the minority.
Alexis?
That was a whole lot of nothing that you just said.
He said, and I quote, I don't know anything of what you just said. I don't know anything of what you just said to me. Basically being so indignant, like, why are you giving me this shit? I'm not the one in charge. And then he ends with, we're in the minority. What can we do? What power do we have?
Mhm.
This is the guy that if the Democrats slaughter in the midterms, like the Republicans, this is the guy who's going to be the House Speaker. This is the problem that we keep coming up is like, it's not enough for Democrats to win. It's that we actually have to have real progressives, because if you have Democrats that call themselves progressives and are not taking money from corporations or lobbyists like AIPAC, then they're actual Democrats. But if they're taking corporate power, they're diet Republicans or diet MAGA. This is the problem that we currently have. Right now, the Democratic governor of New York is kind of playing a little bit hardball. She's helping Mamdani a little bit with his policies, with childcare, but she's also kind of not wanting to budge on raising taxes for the richest among us. And so what is Mamdani doing? Well, he threw that ball back in her face and said, well, either you do that or we're going to have to have some consequences here. But either way, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it's up to you who gets to pay the brunt of the bill. By the way, Mamdani and everything he's doing as far as how he is governing is everything we need. Not just with like a great Democrat, but a great politician who is actually a champion of the working class. Meanwhile, Apex Shakur over there, it's a little bitch. Little bitch. Anyway, I cut off Kyle Kalinske because in the beginning of that clip that you just said with Apex Shakur, they were saying about how ICE is looking into warehouses. They're also looking into incinerators.
The MAGA cultists have now brought themselves to act.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong clip. That's the wrong clip. I have so many clips. Here it is.
Medical and death. The services extend to medical waste management with specific protocols for biohazard incinerators. Incinerators. So in the reporting on this from Migrant Insider, again, I'll read this for you one more time. In fact, here, I'll click it and make it bigger. Medical and death. The services extend to medical waste management with specific protocols for biohazard incinerators and certified inventory of evidence reports for full service laundry operations. In other words, in Trump's network of concentration camps, they're building incinerators. 4,000 people are missing from ICE custody. Lawyers can't find them. Family members can't find them. Friends can't find them. There's been at least 40 people who've died in ICE Gestapo custody under Trump's second regime. One of them, there was evidence, was literally lynched, found hanging with his hands tied and his feet tied. And that's just one person. There's horror stories that are beyond imagination. Even other ICE agents have come out. Some of them have retired and resigned from ICE, and they're telling their stories. And they're saying stuff like, look, I'm against undocumented immigration, but this is treating people in a way that is just not, like, you're immoral. You're unethical if you do this thing. This is torture. This is torture. This is taking away their human rights. These are right-wing people who are retiring and going, I've seen this in the history books, if you know what I'm saying. Incinerators in the concentration camps. You know what's so crazy to me? It really is true. There's this old saying, I'm going to butcher it here, but to paraphrase it, one person dying is a tragedy. 1 million people dying is a statistic. And I think we're sort of seeing a bit of that in this second Trump regime. It's like one scandal can hold everybody's attention, and it can become a big deal, and things can change as a result of all the pressure that gets put on them over a single scandal. But what is it when you have, I don't know.
Well, the cutoff there wasn't the full thing. But the point overall at the end is like all of these scandals are just happening so fast that it's hard for people to focus on just the one. But it is, I would say, very dark and disturbing that why would these particular facilities, okay, you don't want to call them concentration camps, that's literally what they are, but okay, you don't want to call them that. What need is there to build out incinerators? And what makes it really scary is that these ICE agents don't seem to care. I mean, of course they wouldn't. Many of them are criminals in the first place, right? They're recruited into this service, but and if we're being real, many of them would do it for free. But when you have so many immigrants and undocumented people who are just flat out missing, reporters can't find them, lawyers can't find them, family can't find them. Do I even have to say it? And you would think, with all of these flying accusations that are becoming harder not to believe at this point, you would think that there would be something of a schism happening with the base that supports Trump and the Republicans. Maybe some, but I feel like the standard has always been that he can do no wrong, and I'm going to go back to Kyle over here, Kyle Kalinske, but I feel like, I mean, and God bless him because he's really covering some of the most important stuff that others are not covering. But this is specific to the mindset of people who have completely given themselves away to this man and will defend him at no point. And you remember the 2 weeks ago in the last two podcasts, I had a clip of Vosh who was saying that, you know, he was answering a question but from one of the streamers or one of his, like, the chat that was saying that's are Trump supporters being quiet about the Epstein files? And he's like, yeah, and in some cases they'll say pedophilia is actually good. Well, I guess it wasn't a joke. Here is something you just really have to see to believe.
The MAGA cultists have now brought themselves to actually utter the following words. They said, why is it wrong to rape children? I'm not kidding. I wish I was kidding. And look at Dean's reaction. Let's watch.
You asking me why it's wrong to rape children?
Yeah, I need you to tell me why it is wrong in your eyes
to rape children.
To do that. Yes. Do you need me to repeat it? Can you not hear me? Do you have too many talks in your ears, or what's up? Why is it wrong? Is that too hard of a question?
Look at Dean's reaction. Look at his reaction. He just literally can't believe that this is where we are now.
You can mute me with the background noise if you want. I'm ready to hear your answer.
It's happening. It's actually happening.
That pearl clutching is so beta. Why don't you actually answer the question?
It's actually happening. He's calling me a pearl clutcher for saying that child rape is wrong.
No, because I asked the question. Why are you?
I didn't think this one happened. You know, we see it often. They'll say that something's wrong, and then Trump will do it, and then they'll defend it. Did that with J6. Did that with the J6 pardons. Did that with Medicaid cuts. Did that with the SNAP cuts. Just didn't think they'd do it with child rape.
Obfuscating. Let's just get to the fucking point, bro.
I just didn't think they'd do it with child rape. And now we're seriously at that point where Trump supporters are now saying that it's not wrong to rape children and asking why it is wrong to rape children.
I'm actually not surprised. Like, I'm actually not surprised at this point. When Trump decided, I'm going to start bullying the shit out of Greenland and threatening to steal it, the Republicans went along with it. I'm not surprised because when there was a poll of MAGA Republicans, hey, should we attack Iran? The number was like, it was low, it was like 40 or 50%, something like that. Then Trump did it, and the number shot up to 95% of MAGA Republicans supported it. Okay? So if these people are willing to go along with Trump threatening to steal Greenland, if they're willing to go along with Trump attacking Iran after he campaigned as the anti-war candidate, if they're willing to look the other way as Trump scams his own supporters with a crypto shitcoin, if they're willing to look away with Trump doing World Liberty Financial and money laundering and all these business ventures, he's made like literally billions of dollars since he's been back in the White House. If they're willing to look away at all that, why wouldn't they also look away about this, right? Why wouldn't they? Because they've already sent the signal, like, I am down for whatever. I'm on the team. I'm down for whatever. And of course, the most cuck thing about it is, you think this guy calling is a billionaire? Like, you think he's gonna, like, Trump's policies are gonna help him that much that he's willing to overlook it? No, he's also getting fucked by Trump's policies, right? Trump is kicking 18 million people off Medicaid, and he's doubling, tripling, and quadrupling the health insurance premiums. And this guy's probably going to be impacted by that one way or the other, whether he's on Medicaid or, you know, he just has to, his health insurance premium goes up. He's going to get impacted by that. Trump's big bullshit bill, it cuts taxes for the rich, effectively raises them on the bottom 90%. This guy's taxes are going to get raised as a direct result of Trump. Okay? So, like, Trump's policies are fucking this guy over, and he's still going, yes, sir, may I have another, please? In fact, let me defend your fucking child rape. Let me defend Jeffrey fucking Epstein. And so, the thing that we all need to come to terms with is, if they're willing to do this, yes, they would be willing to defend Trump if he nuked Greenland, or if he nuked Panama, or if he nuked Gaza, right? Like, there is actually nothing that he can do where they would say, that's gone too far. They're building 23 concentration camps right now We just reported on it. They sent people to a concentration camp to Sikot not that long ago. 288 people. The overwhelming majority had no criminal record. They were raped. They were tortured. Right? They defended that. They defended Trump's Gestapo shooting Americans in the face and murdering them. So listen to all those scenarios I just described to you and the fact that these people defended it. So now I challenge you. Come up with a single scenario that they won't defend. I'll wait.
You know, there used to be a time, obviously, and I think appropriately, when we were in early adolescence, we were in the 7th grade and 8th grade learning about world history. And then even further in high school, learning about the history of America and the brutality and the barbarism of humankind throughout all of time. One of the more shocking elements of the eras of all time is how recent a lot of that still was. You know, when we were learning about that stuff in the very, very early 2010s, that was what, maybe 70 years removed at most from the end of the Second World War. And to this day, many people can't quite take seriously the idea, unfortunately, I should say, that such barbarism and brutality and just flat out evil existed in the world. But those of us who do know and accept that as truth, it's like what you said last year, Alexis, when we were watching Sound of Music, Captain Von Trapp, Edelweiss, that whole sequence of him, just like the entire movie, there's so much happening. That's a great movie. I think more of him every day. And I think more of his plight, because he is, and the movie doesn't quite, crack it open for him. Like, he's very much observing the end of a certain period of time and mourning the end of his homeland. And I think very clearly, if you read the history books, which people are too busy, again, burning them, not reading them, a lot of what we're seeing right now has happened. It happened less than 100 years ago. And the reality is, all of this, just, we obviously, the correct perpetrators are the cravenous, soulless, evil Republicans. But they alone couldn't do this. We have to give credit where credit is due. We have to single out the corporate elite that have allowed this to take shape. The corporate elite that profit off of this every year, who enable fascists to continue to get tax cuts and residuals, to continue to merge and buy out other companies, to continue to destroy the working class. They aid in, they aid in a bet, but as at this point, Jeffries and Schumer and the Democratic leadership feel like fascist collaborators, because they're actively doing more harm by not fighting or not correctly meeting this moment. And I think it's been long made clear that the diehards of the MAGA cult are never, ever going to turn. And that should scare you. That should scare all of us. But at the same time, it's not impossible to win some of them over, but it is impossible to win some of them over if you're going to continue to put the same type of candidate that is either Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and I'm going to say it, Gavin Newsom, which then transitions us into meeting the moment that we're in right now. Because I feel, as somebody who has been an observer of politics for the better part of 10, even 15 years, to tell you the truth at this point, half of my life, I think, which is crazy. One of the most, I think, important conversations that could have taken place, took place just last week. And I feel like it wasn't, obviously, it wasn't anyone's agenda or design. It was a moment on a podcast, and it kind of just exploded. Mm-hmm. But I felt it was a very necessary point to make and a very necessary conversation to have. And I was very much heartened by the fact that while there were the usual blue MAGA lunatics who were out there ripping, these people apart for these points and how dare yous and it's your fault and voter shaming
I don't think
or
it's
whatever.
like that. I think it's also just like people being like, well, right now it's like, this is what we can do, like desperate to, do something right away. And like, I
would
get
put
it.
them in a separate category, Alexis. I think those people are look, there are different
I wouldn't.
camps.
I mean,
There are
yeah.
different camps. There are people who operate in bad faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are people who are coming from a good place. There were concerns from people right now who are paying attention right now who hear that and they get concerned because like, what do you mean you but they don't know better. I'm sorry, but they clearly in their responses they don't know better because, and this is the point that needs to be made. You're not adequately paying enough attention if you are not of the mind that the Democratic Party has led us to where we are, and their failures to meet the moment and their failures to listen to their goddamn base and their own voters have led to this moment in time. Donald Trump never would have been the president in the first place. If, for one, Barack Obama was governing as a progressive, he was beating the shit out of Republicans, and they didn't stop Bernie Sanders from actually winning the nomination in 2016 and again in 2020. And it's not just that they stop progressives, is that they do that at the behest of candidates who suck. Hillary Clinton was under criminal investigation by the FBI in 2016, got the nomination. Joe Biden in 2020 was obviously a vice president who was beloved, but didn't ultimately accomplish very much. He came in 5th in the first 3 contests, and they had to carry his ass to the finish line and block Bernie because we couldn't dare have Bernie. Funnily enough, when we came around to 2024, he himself was also under investigation for mishandling documents. So there goes that. No democratic process in 2016. No democratic process in 2020. All the behind the scenes people decide who will be the nominee, and the voters get crushed. Then in 2024, there was no time for anything because Biden went into the race all the way up until June. Oh, conveniently, no time for the left or for the voters themselves to actually give an opinion. So what do? They foist a third candidate on us that we did not want, and also one that was rejected. This is the thing. They keep putting losers. Hillary Clinton ran for president in 2008. She was rejected. She ran again, and then she ultimately did not become the president. Joe Biden only became the president because COVID happened and Trump was awful on COVID, and then he barely won. But even then, Joe Biden ran 3 times before, didn't get anywhere. And then this is where it gets malicious. The arrogance of that man and those people to put him up again in 24, and the refusal of other party leaders to stop that from happening in the first place. And then when it all comes crashing down, they foist yet another option who was previously rejected so badly, she dropped out before any votes were cast in the 2020 primary. They keep putting fucking losers in front of us who've lost and have such incredible baggage and damage to themselves and everybody who they touch. And above all of that, they're the same kind of candidate who only live in this world of half measures. I'm going to give some people healthcare, but not everybody. I'm going to give some people tax incentives, but we're going to means test it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually going to improve the working class because we also want to make sure that we're still in bed with big business. We're in bed with pharmaceuticals. We're in bed with insurance companies. We want to make sure that they have their share of the food as well. So we're going to make sure that we'll help some people, but we can't help everybody because we got to take care of our donors as well. This is where it comes down to. And then this whole point that Hassan was making about the question was put to him, if it came down between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance in 2028, he said at that point it wouldn't matter. And let me tell you why he is correct, why it wouldn't matter. In the long run, why it wouldn't matter. Mm-hmm. And let me just be clear. I am somebody who while I understood and was very much sympathetic toward Palestinian protesters trying to just get themselves out there and get the media to pay attention to them because their homeland and their people were being eviscerated by evil, maniacal individuals in Israel. Barbarism in the 21st century. There you go. But it came off really badly to me how they were not protesting Republican candidates or Donald Trump themselves, maybe because out of their own personal safety, which I may understand that, and they were only targeting Kamala Harris. By the way, Kamala Harris was bad on the issue, as was Joe Biden. Terrible on the issue, and they deserve no grace from those people. But my thing was this to the Palestinian people and the protesters. While I agreed with them in protesting those candidates for their absurd positions on those issues, I myself knew the consequences of those weak, feckless people losing, because it wasn't just about the one thing. It was about everything. Everything else. All of the issues matter. Because as we see, every time Republicans get power, they don't waste time. From day one, they're issuing executive orders. They're passing laws to hurt you, the American people, to hurt the working class. They do it all the time. And I was very much upset that, they were creating this narrative that was only going to help those candidates lose. Here's the thing now, and this is how I have been radicalized throughout the years. And to be clear, I have not had a Democratic candidate that I liked be the actual nominee since 2012. Since 2012. 2016, I did not want Hillary to be the president, but I voted for her. I supported her and I advocated for her anyway because I knew what a disaster Trump would be, and I have been proven correct through that. 2020, again, Joe Biden didn't deserve it. That one really fucking stung. Hated him, knew it would be a loser presidency anyway, but I still advocated for it because we were all freaking dying from a plague, and this asshole was killing us. Very simple calculus. 2024, again, Harris, at the very least, showed a little bit more pizzazz in campaigning and actually speaking than Biden. And at the same time, Trump coming back into power would be in. We're living through it, so I don't even have to finish that sentence. Very clearly, it wasn't a competition. But here's the thing, and you have to ask yourself this: it wasn't enough for the American electorate. So what is missing? What is the problem? Because for most people who have sense, it's a very easy choice between a bad candidate with some not great ideas and ultimately weak versus Hitler. I wonder what I'm going to choose, right? But this is the issue. Many people in the electorate, I'm sorry, but they're not on our wavelength. They're much more simple and they need to be spoken to in very simple terms. And the Democrats can't do that. They can't get behind policies. They can't get behind a messaging. They're all over the place and they pretend as if they're winners, but they're freaking losers. They're such losers. And the thing that they all have in common is that they were despised by the public. Because for one, the Republican media machine was so effective at getting them the hate, and there is no Democratic media machine. So they just sit there and take it. And then they are meek and they don't actually support anything that is worth a damn. And so I propose that to change things up, we deny the establishment and we deny centrists their nominee because they've had their turns. Mm-hmm. They've had so many turns in a row, and they've been the one constant factor that has been screwing us, and we've been losing all of the time. So you tell me how Gavin Newsom, who, by the way, no candidates have been declared. He's not even the nominee yet, and yet we have blue MAGA out there saying, how dare you say you wouldn't vote for him. Gavin Newsom, I will tell you, I think would have been a great candidate in 2024 for this one reason. If he had the balls to go up against Joe Biden and say, I can't take this anymore, he can't speak, I'm doing this because, and by the way, if he had those balls to do that and challenged Biden to a debate, we would have known a lot sooner he was not up for the job. And he would have been ran out. And if Newsom Now, that being said, could he have won? I don't know, but it would have been a far stronger position to have eliminated that weak president and get a stronger communicator. I would say Gavin, with all his flaws, is still a much better communicator than Kamala, which isn't saying much, to tell you the truth. But that being said, if he wanted to be president that badly, I would have advocated for him to run against Biden in 24. Then I would have been all in for Gavin. Now, we are in such a desolate place. He is not good enough. He is not good enough for a whole host of reasons that we've been saying on here for weeks. I can't vote or support for any person that is going to deny single-payer health care. He allowed insurance companies to continue to exist in California, and to this very day, people are being denied coverage and are dying because of that. Cannot work with that. And I'm sorry, I didn't used to be this very much like, just like militaristic about it, but we're at a point where we have to be. Him
There's
coming
no
out
way.
against the wealth tax. He came out against a wealth tax. I can't work with that. The homeless situation, even Obama called that out this week. It's like, hey, that's a pretty bad look. And then him thinking that it was going to be his moment. So what does he do after 24? He creates a podcast and he invites
So stupid.
he invites not just Republicans, but he invites Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, Ben Shapiro, and he doesn't challenge them.
Nope.
He agrees with them. One of the first moves that he makes is to literally throw trans people under the bus and say, yeah, they probably made us look bad and cost us the election as well. I can keep going. Oh, one of the clips that one of his opponents has to, I'm sure someone already made a clip of him going on the Van Johnson show and him asking about AIPAC and him just like as a robot. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. This man can't, I'm sorry, he's made so many gaffes at this point that I'm not even convinced, even though the polls will say he is in first place because that's,
a lot of
that's
people
name ID.
are like, oh, like his social media, like he calls me. That's not even him. It's not even him.
It's not him.
And
It's an
it's
intern,
proven because
and-
of what he's said in these stupid ass podcasts.
Exactly. And he said it wasn't him, and he said that it
Yeah.
probably went too far already. So even that is nonsense. So I'm telling you, if he were to be a general election candidate, which is the main point, it would be a disaster. Even as a primary candidate, and this is the thing, there are so many candidates that are going to be announcing like him, who stand for the same thing, which is nothing, except them wanting to be president. And I do believe they are going to be for a real wake-up call because there is such anger at all of that type of Democrat. Which is why I'm saying, Jon Stewart, run for president, you're going to win. Just putting that out there. But as a general election candidate, I do think there is a point to be made about like what Hassan said. It wouldn't matter. Why wouldn't it matter? Because this is the thing. If Gavin Newsom beats J.D. Vance, which I think he can do, I wouldn't bet money on it because look where we are, right? But if he were to beat J.D. Vance, and if he acts the same way as Biden and Obama did, what would be the point? What would change? All it would, if he acts
All it would
and
do
does the
is
same
just,
shit
we wouldn't see breaking news every 5 seconds.
until 4 years later, Republican worse than Trump and Vance gets in the power, then we would have a return to breaking news, breaking news, because they failed to do anything to. This is the thing. It's like this is not being appreciated enough. But since 2012, Democrat wins. 2016, Republican wins. 2020, Democrat wins. 24, Republican wins. The American electorate, I'm so sorry to say, they do not have the intelligence to understand the history of even 25, 30 years about, or even ideology, much less actual politics, which is why they keep ping-ponging back and forth between Democrats and Republicans as if, because what they keep voting in fails them. So they go back to the other people and then they get failed by them. And we're in this cycle that doesn't end. And if we put Gavin Newsom in there, it's just, oh, well, I'm going to wait 4 years for this presidency to end, then for the next fascist to come in and just destroy it all. And then no more elections. Am I wrong, or do you feel differently?
No, yeah. I mean, even the little itty bitty bit of progress that they do, the
Will be erased.
Republicans come in and they like bulldoze over everything, and I will give them this: they make it last longer. So,
Yeah.
they make it permanent.
So this is the thing. We have a Republican administration who is defying the law every day. They're breaking the law every day. They're defying court orders. They're defying judges. We need a Democrat that comes into office and does that.
Yeah.
And does that. We need to pack the courts. We need to investigate. We need to arrest. We need to dismantle everything. Anyway, here we'll finish it up with these clips. All of them that come from Vosh, but they're in response to what we've been talking about.
But my position is that, like, the real thing destroying the country isn't actually MAGA. MAGA is rapidly hastening the process. The real thing destroying the country are a set of underlying economic, social, and political forces that both parties contribute to, though, again, much more so from the MAGA movement. But if the primary outcome of Gavin Newsom becoming president in 2028, if he did, right, would be disillusionment of the people to the point that I think most people would welcome the collapse of our democracy. Like, he is the most believes in nothing, ruthless, like, piece of shit, like, American psycho. I have no principles. I'll do whatever I can to advance my own agenda. And I think that voting in a Democrat like that would basically tell people, so we can't do anything. Like, it's just, it'll never get better again. And I feel like it would do a lot of long-term damage, destroying people's hope that something might come about that could be better in the future. Whereas if J.D. Vance won in 2028, he would get in there with like 29% approval, and he would stay there. His own party wouldn't work with him as much as they did with Trump. Democrats would oppose him on everything. It feels like he would be a lame duck from day one. He wouldn't be able to do anything. And maybe, you know, the fact that Gavin Newsom lost to that could be kind of an indictment against the Democratic Party in a way that would encourage them to vote for somebody who isn't Gavin Newsom in 2032. But I don't really know. I don't know. I guess my thinking is that if Gavin Newsom wins, it's over anyway. And what would come about in 2032 would be downright apocalyptic. It's kind of like how now, in retrospect, I really wish that Trump had won in 2020, because Biden didn't do anything with his victory, didn't prosecute Trump for some reason with Merrick Garland, didn't do anything to address the underlying, did nothing about the Republican Party at all, just went after small fries, the randos who stormed the Capitol, like those were the problem, just the random chuds who took a shit in Pelosi's office or whatever, did nothing with it, and it gave Trump 4 years to build back up momentum. Whereas we all know,
we told you they came back with the fucking vengeance.
With incredible
Sorry, it was like Jaws the Revenge, basically. Yeah, just like that.
If Trump had won in 2020, he would have gone in with incredibly low popularity, and he would have gotten nothing done, and all the people around him would have been the same, like, rhinos, the same neocons who would have wrangled him in, and it would have been this embarrassing mess for the Republican Party. They wouldn't have had a perceived mandate. They would have just, like, coasted along, getting nothing done. Certainly not as much damage as Trump ended up being able to do after winning again in 2024. So, yeah, I don't know. That right now, it seems to me like the Biden presidency accomplished nothing other than giving Trump time to really fuck us in the ass. So my thinking is maybe that's all Gavin Newsom would do as well. Maybe Gavin Newsom would succeed only in giving the Republican Party the ability to, like, charge up their mega strike and really, like, truly obliterate this country's, like, actually end it. For 100 years, end it in 2032. Whereas if J.D. Vance wins in 2028, I don't know. But again, this is just my ballpark thinking now, and I don't think Gavin Newsom's going to be the guy anyway. Though it's worth saying, I do feel similarly about Kamala Harris to Gavin Newsom. I think that Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are pretty similarly, would have acted pretty similarly, like in the same dynamic. Kamala Harris's, I don't know, nihilistic, you know, I'm not here for you after I lose. I pop in 6 months later with a witty little consultant-led catchphrase. Oh, look at me, I'm quirky. That bullshit? I don't know, man. Like, at least Gavin Newsom's been doing something with the California redistricting. Sorry, long ramble.
I mean, basically every word of what he just said. Is what we were just saying before. It would be.
That's what we've been saying this whole time.
Yeah, it's like like, you have to start thinking in the long term. And then we'll do this last one here.
Doesn't stand a chance anyway, because it's a broader like thought experiment about the responsibility of the Democratic Party to provide a good candidate. Because we're not just fighting over who's better. We're fighting over hope for the future, the belief that it's possible to fix these deep-seated issues in the country. Newsom couldn't do it. I guarantee you that I'll lay everything down on. Newsom could not do it. At most, he would be a holding pattern, reminding people how feckless, weak, useless, and inauthentic the Democrats are. As the Democratic establishment rushes to defend every stupid decision that he makes, every ridiculous concession, the party continues to be divided. Popularity for all the positions that they support will go down, just like they did towards the end of Biden. If we want, the next Democratic candidate has to be a knockout, That's what I want. I want the next Democratic candidate to be a knockout. Will they be a communist? No. Will they be a socialist? No. Will I like them as much as I like Mamdani? No. I just want them to be better than that. I need them to be good enough that they can begin to address these issues. That's what I want. I want a lion. And if they provide one, I'll advocate for them. This is how democracy works. You have to pick a good candidate. If you keep picking losers, you can't be mad at everyone else when you lose. I don't know, I understand there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's not like you don't contribute to that environment. I'm just saying, I don't understand why we're all being so preemptively concessionary to the Democratic Party's potential worst choice. It's like how loyalty to Kobe set the Lakers back a decade. I don't know what that means, but I believe you. So a lot of people engage with this in a very chauvinistic way, which is unfortunate because it's very, very, very important.
No.
A 4-year holding pattern would be better than Vance. But after the holding pattern, you might get a worse Vance. That's what happened with Trump. Again, the holding pattern pauses the country, but it then allows the united forces of capital behind the Republican Party to grow stronger, to dominate culture more, and then they come back worse. That's what just happened. That's what we're living in right now. What do you want voters to believe? That all the Democrats can ever offer is a holding pattern? Do you really want that? Don't you hold any standards to them? They're very powerful and wealthy people. Do you have nothing for them? Do you have no anger? Don't you think you're entitled to better candidates? Doesn't it disgust you that time and time and time again they consistently underperform? They misrepresent their electorate. They do badly. It's their job to do well. Don't you want them to do well? I want them to do well. It's ridiculous. It's like there's like nothing they can do.
Yeah. When that video clip came out and everybody was so angry, we're literally like there's no way. There's no way.
I'm like, I should be angry. For one, Gore should have been the president, and the Supreme Court stole that election. There was an actual stolen election. The Supreme Court took that away. We could have been in an alternate reality where Gore was the president. We never would have had the disaster of Bush. That was the first thing. I should have been, and then of course, what happened? Bernie lost 2016. They stole it from him. He lost 2020. They stole it from him then again.
Ugh.
Like, I've had many elections stolen from me. I should be freaking angry. By the way, apparently the polls are so bad for the Republicans during the midterms. I think they've effectively decided on their strategy, which is to cheat. Are
we surprised?
No, not at all. Not at all. So, just we'll see how all that goes. How this affects. I mean, look, it's hard to overlook any of this because you have to really be keeping up with what's happening with the Trump presidency, in order to find out what's happening with Warner Brothers and Netflix and MAGA Mount. This is the thing. Apparently, Mr. Allison was able to get a hold of a key stockholder in Warner Brothers Discovery, and he was able to get enough people to convince them. Let's take another look. Even though, how many times have we been through this? And I'm sure Netflix at this point is getting so beleaguered at the idea of like, how many times are we going to do this? Like, are we gonna do this thing or not? You know? Here's I'm gonna just read to you in full. Netflix slams Paramount's antics as it grants narrow 7-day waiver for Warner Brothers to re-examine buyout options. Warner Brothers is headed back into buyout talks with Paramount, despite already agreeing to a sale with Netflix, a move that the streaming giant has begrudgingly agreed to while issuing an irritated-sounding statement, slamming Paramount's continued quote-unquote antics to try and disrupt its own plans to buy Warner Brothers. The streamer has still said WB can take 7 days to examine a rival bid as the drama around the sale drags on. Netflix and Paramount have been scrapping over who gets to gobble up Warner Brothers for months, with the prize of owning... Okay, we all know okay. WB executives had previously agreed to a sale. Blah, 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 blah. Now Paramount has contacted WB again, this time to say it would raise its $30 per share offer in a bid to beat out Netflix once and for all. Quote unquote, this is a statement by Deadline. On February 11th, a senior representative of your financial advisor communicated orally to a member of the board, to the WB board, that Paramount would agree to pay $31 per WB share if we engage with you, and that the $31 is not Paramount's best and final proposal. Read a letter to Paramount from WB. Okay, whatever. We are writing to inform you that Netflix has agreed to provide WB a waiver of certain terms. Okay, blah, 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 blah. The Warner Brothers board goes on to state that it remains fully committed to its existing deal with Netflix. I'm going to stop right there. Corporate cravenous creatures only care about money, which is why this is continuing to go on. If I were Netflix, I'm like, what do you mean you're fully committed to us if you're still looking at the side for what's better out there? But okay. And they set a final date to agree its deal with its own shareholders on March 20th. And yet the company clearly feels compelled to hear Paramount out for what now surely must be its final offer. Netflix boss Ted Sarandos previously struck a confident tone when asked about the deal's chance of success. He says, we're highly confident in the regulatory process. More corporate speak. Okay. Let me tell you right now, I truly don't know what's happening or what's going to happen at this point, because I would say that Netflix still has the edge because they've already agreed to a deal. And so for WB Discovery to break that would be big. So I'm sure there are a lot of people at Warner Brothers Discovery, the stockholders and the studio heads themselves, who are like, can we be done with this already? Like, what the fuck? This is awful. And then, previously, a few weeks ago, President Trump was asked if he was going to involve himself with this. And ultimately, he said no. And then it turns out that was a complete and total lie, because, of course, that's what he does, right? But just to give people this is the thing. This is John Roca, who does a pretty good job of, not ignoring the political aspect of things when he's discussing movie news. This is what he says. Sends a chill up the spine thinking about what damage these Allison fuckwads will do to these channels, properties, and franchises if they get their hands on them. The greatest lie MAGA ever told, this side of election fraud, is that they are victims of censorship. That false narrative is what is fueling their drive to control the media. But nothing could be further from the truth. These people haven't been shut up for the past 10 years on their numerous networks, TV shows, podcasts, comedy specials, and YouTube channels. There's been no censorship of their voices. But now, they might be blasting their bullshit and agenda through the content they'll be making on an even bigger scale through the required movie studios and networks. God help us all. And then he included a graphic of what it would look like with Paramount and WB, and also just the Allison family's potential business empire. Skydance, TikTok, Fandango, Rotten Tomatoes, DC Studios, Oracle, HBO, CNN, CBS, Showtime, TBS, Comedy Central, TNT, Paramount Plus, TLC, HGTV, Nickelodeon, BNR, Cartoon Network, Animal Planet, CBS Sports, Adult Swim, HBO Max, Boomerang, Cinemax, Cooking, Pluto TV, Discovery, Food Network, Science Channel. The Science Channel, Jesus Christ, we know what's going to get canceled. The CW, Travel Channel, BET, that's 2 DEI, so they're going to get rid of that. MTV, VH1. That's just the media empire that would happen if WB all of a sudden turned around. That would be the end of the world. That would be the end of the world. And then here are the franchises that they would take hold of through these media channels: Harry Potter, Mad Max, The Conjuring, Matrix, It, Lord of the Rings, Gremlins, Mission Impossible, Nightmare on Elm Street, Game of Thrones, True Detective, The Sopranos, The Wire, Mortal Kombat, Transformers, The Flash, Aquaman, Joker, Harley Quinn, all the DC stuff, Batman, Superman, Dexter, Yellowstone, Star Trek, A Quiet Place, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Paranormal Activity, Cloverfield, G.I. Joe, Rugrats, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Garfield, Jimmy Neutron, Blue's Clues, Sonic, Top Gun, Scooby-Doo, SpongeBob, Jackass, Looney Tunes, Dora the Explorer, and The Fairly Odd Parents, just to name a few. And to be clear, we've already seen the people they would hire. Allison, who is effectively acting as a mafia boss on top of MAGA Mount. Is one of the first moves was they're going out of their way to hire canceled talent, and that's code for men who were run out of their jobs because they couldn't keep their hands off of women.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do first? They hire Ratner, who was one of these men who couldn't do that and did a lot more heinous things by arranging other powerful men. Kind of like he was basically a pimp, basically, in that department as well. So they hire him to direct the Melania movie. And apparently also to direct Rush Hour 4. This is what will happen to all of these titles and all of these networks if the Allisons, who are acolytes of MAGA and Trump, are victorious in this situation. So it should not be mistaken at all that Netflix, while we have issues with what they would do, not anywhere near on the same scale. Not anywhere near on the same scale. CBS already is like what they've been doing this year has been awful. I mean, they're already canceling late night comedians. They're telling them who they can and cannot have on. This is just the beginning. And this is what you will see. And what progressive, what Mamdani, what Bernie, what AOC would be able to compete with this empire of misinformation, with this empire of propaganda?
Yeah.
What hope would there be? There would be no hope. All the while, I mean, look, if this happens and if AI continues to, run people out of their jobs, I mean, we're heading closer to a civil war. That's the likeliest outcome, is a violent civil war. Because what else is there when every industry is quickly using AI, and the first thing that AI comes up with is how can we cut as many people as possible? Alexis, any thoughts? I mean, this is an incredibly hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. And I mean, you're not wrong about the Civil War. People are just going to be at home with nothing else to do. Fun times.
Um, I don't know what ultimately happens in this. It's hard to tell at the moment, to tell you the truth, because the Netflix deal, in reality, no matter what is decided, it may well take years for the final regulatory approval to come. But maybe not if it ends up being who the current administration wants it to be. See, if Netflix ends up winning, they may well use whatever power they have to destroy it as much as they possibly can. But if Paramount wins, they're just like, oh yeah, go ahead. We've got no issues over here. Yeah. Anywho, it's hard to really work away.
That was
We've been going so long that my background just changed out of nowhere. It's
actually not that long.
Was it not that long? Let's see what.
It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. Sorry about that. That disruption. Anywho, that was an hour and 20 minutes, as you just said. It's hard to move away from that because obviously all of that is very existential and it's really going to affect our lives one way or the other. And I think all of it is just very obvious what the end result is going to be if things go the worst way.
Yeah.
And yet people are going to be like, well, we didn't know. Nobody told us. I didn't know it would be this bad. I didn't think this could possibly happen. Yeah. Anywho, let's go ahead and move on to Star Wars. That should be a far more fun conversation to have, just so we can make fun of some people. Here's the thing. I, for the most part, have been. Well, look, in the last few years, I have gone out of my way to not even watch a trailer unless it's something that I'm very much interested in. So if it's Dune, if it's like a Scorsese movie or a Spielberg movie or a Del Toro movie, I'm going to watch the trailers. But I don't care anymore. First of all, most trailers, in my view, these days just suck. They have no interest whatsoever because the movies that they're born from suck themselves. And when they come out and they get horrible reviews, I feel, validated in that. And when it comes to the Disney machine, I block it out. To me, it may not as well even exist. So Moana 2, Inside Out 2, Zootopia 2, the live action remakes, that stuff, that depresses me so badly that I refuse to acknowledge its existence. And I think ultimately I'm proven, and it ends up working because if I do watch the films themselves, they end up being such empty vessels. Even the people who champion them don't talk about them for more than a week. So that proves my point anyway. Now with this one here, Mandalorian and Grogu. When that first trailer came out, Peter and I were like saying the same thing. I think the word that stuck out to us was embarrassing. Embarrassing for the fact that this is supposed to be a movie. They're selling it as a movie. They're billing it as a movie. They're presenting it as a cinematic event. And yet, it is indistinguishable from what the TV show looks like. which is a big freaking problem. Months later, they feel the need to release another trailer and throw in some new shots as a direct response to their criticism. They release a Super Bowl ad that left the entire country confused and not at all interested in watching their movie. They have Jon Favreau out there saying that he went out of his way to make this look cinematic, which is even more embarrassing because when you look at the trailer, girl, what do you mean, right? Then he says he loves, when he writes Star Wars, he thinks of being a kid and playing with Star Wars toys.
Cool.
And then what do? They drop images of what characters would be in there, like Jabba the Hutt's son, or Zeb, or Embo. And it's become quite clear that right now, this week, which is February 18th, 2026, we're a few months out from the movie coming out, which is in May. And I feel that the Disney company has caught on that the public is not taking to this marketing campaign. They are sensing a lot of confusion, as they should, because this is what happens when you reverse engineer something that was not supposed to be a movie and you squish it down into a movie and it ended up being a big nothing burger. That on its own, which is what you generally do, you're very good at doing that and you're very used to doing that and the people eating it up. But every now and then it's so bad that even you're mystified. But what? This is not working? This usually works. Well, we got to go and double it down and see what we do. In normal circumstances, this would be bad enough. But then what do? You rely on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who in them of themselves are the poster boys for nothingness. So you compound an issue and a practice for making movies that's already bad, and you compound that with the worst possible people to pick for a project that was designed and reverse engineered this way. And you're surprised that you end up getting a film that is nothing. Because when you then make trailers, the common critique that people are having, beside just the usual, this doesn't look cinematic, what the hell is this? This is Disney Plus all over again. The main thing is, what is even this movie? And the marketing campaign, the trailers cannot answer that question. And I fear, maybe because it's nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe because this whole show from the beginning has been nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis.
It's true. I can't even tell you like what the show's about. And I mean, to be fair, I haven't, watched all of it, but
you don't need to.
I've also like not seen anybody talk about what the show's about. Like they talk about what happens and who shows up and they get all excited. So I just can't imagine like what the movie's gonna be.
See, even the Star Wars Twitter account the other day, they included the trailer. This is how they tweeted it out. Star Wars returns to the big screen with Mandalorian and Grogu. We're a few months out from May, and they could tell things are so bad that they said Star Wars returns to the big screen, which means that when people were watching this trailer, they were thinking, oh, it's coming back on Disney Plus. Is it me, or is one, the failure of this marketing campaign, and two, the befuddlement and confusion of the fan base? Is this kind of giving Lightyear vibes as far as like how it's going to perform? Now, I'm not saying it'll be like a huge disaster or a bomb, but I'm sensing that between everything going on, let me just tell you this. It would be absurd to think that this would perform on the level of a Star Wars movie. So if the company is deranged enough to think this would be on the level of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rogue One, Rise of Skywalker, which all were billion-dollar films, if they are deranged enough to think that this is going to come anywhere near that, they deserve to fail. Because they're morons and they're idiots and they're buffoons for thinking that. I would even say this might do as badly, if not a little bit worse than Solo. Because I'm sensing, first of all, no excitement, no awareness, confusion. That those are not the great ingredients you want for a hit movie. And I fear then what that's going to do for the brain rot at the executive level of like, oh, and then we're going to have all these think pieces. Oh, God, movies are so low that Star Wars can't even bring people out. And it's like, you fucking idiots. It's not Star Wars that's failing here. It's you that's failing Star Wars by thinking that this is anything near cinematic or an event that would cause people to want to pay money for this. Oh, but Embo's there. We got Embo back. I mean, has anyone, I feel like this happens to me, but every time that the trailer comes on, I groan because I forgot it existed in the first place. And I was like, okay, I just kind of close my eyes. I'm at that point where I refuse to engage with it. The same way that I refuse to engage. I never saw a trailer, only like a little image of Lilo and Stitch. Still didn't even watch the Lilo and Stitch
I never
movie.
saw a trailer for Lilo and Stitch.
No.
I think. Well, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, but it's feeling a little desperate, to tell you the truth. And I don't know. You sense that there is blood in the water when sharks like Grace Randolph smell it, right? So, she's a really frustrating person because, she's insisting that James Cameron move on to do other projects because of how disappointing Avatar 3 was. Because it only made $1.4 billion. So clearly people don't care anymore. That's her rationale. $1.4 billion. And people don't care. And he should move on to do Terminator films. I'm sorry, but clearly, based on how Terminator has been doing the last 30 years, people don't care about those movies anymore. What they do care about is Avatar, because every one of them makes $1 billion. But anyway, go ahead. You do you. Go ahead and make fun of the Spielberg movie because apparently it's pluribus light and you get confused because people attack you for being stupid on that issue. Okay, go ahead. Whatever. But, she's really annoying, but sometimes she does say things. This is why she's the chaos angel of film critics, because sometimes she just says something that is just so to the point and is actually accurate. Like one of my favorite takedowns was from last year when she was reviewing Snow White, and she was dragging Gal Gadot when she was saying, she can't sing, she can't act, she even has trouble just standing there.
Damn.
No one has ever read Gal Gadot just like that. And then this is what she says about the man. There was a fan that was tweeting at her. It's like, hey, where's your Mandalorian reaction? This is what she says. I decided not to cover. I thought it was dropping at noon, and then I saw it wasn't even able to trend top 10. Honestly, it looks like a movie for really small kids. And I don't know if really small kids are into Star Wars. That may have a lot to do with the fact that this is turning into Star Wars babies. because first of all, this is called The Mandalorian and Grogu. Grogu's a fucking baby.
Who doesn't grow
At all. So
age? I guess I should say.
What's this supposed to be? And then there's a baby Greedo?
Oh no.
There's no cohesion. There's no story. There's no themes. There's no ideas. There's just random
Slop.
Star Wars characters and slop happening. Which, by the way, that's your average episode of The Mandalorian. So it's just giving you more of what they think you love about them. Because you have to be clear. And this is why people need to be far more informed. When we're talking about Zootopia 2, Moana 2, Lilo and Stitch live action movie, and this one, these were Disney Plus projects. Well, Zootopia 2 may not be, but for sure Moana, Lilo and Stitch, and Mandalorian. They were Disney Plus projects. And it came at a time, Chapek was booted, Iger was brought back in, all the theatrical was bombing, so they yoinked their Disney Plus projects and they reverse engineered them to be films. Except they're not movies because they weren't built to be that way, and so they're empty vessels. I'm sorry, like what more can you say? And so if you're like wondering why people don't care about this, there you go. Personally, I'm excited to see how bad it is. I'm not saying I'm excited to go and pay a ticket to see how bad it is, but I'm excited.
Are you gonna go pay a ticket to see how bad it is?
You know, I do hate myself, so there's that.
You haven't been hate watching stuff in a long time.
No, I haven't, which I feel is a personal win for me. I did hold out hope for 2. Hope in a very, very thin manner. I knew what I was walking into, but even still, Wicked didn't piss me off, but it was like, okay, well, this is not good. Zootopia, I'm going to tell you right now, that review, as we recorded this, has not dropped. I went nuclear. I was so upset. This is when you had walked off and David took over. I was so mad. I legit just stopped talking about the film and then just went on this rage rant against all the narratives against animation and original animation and Elio, and I'm like, I saw red at some point. But this is what's really irking me, and this is why it's there is this mass psychosis. Ever since I recorded that, that movie went on digital, and so many of the reactors that I watch, boom, already reacted to it. There was even one that released in the title, Zootopia 2, better than the original? Meanwhile, not one of these people even knows Elio exists and has not done a reaction on that movie at all. And it's been out on digital for months, half a year at this point. So if you think that this particularly makes me angry, it does make me. Zootopia 2 legitimately made me angry. Because in the first 10 minutes, it completely undid everything about the first film. Said, we're going to throw as much noise as you to distract you from the fact that we're undoing those arcs. We're having, in many ways, the exact same story again, but worse. With less slow moments, more fast moments, annoying as hell characters. I cannot believe fucking people had the gall to call Elio an annoying character, where Zootopia is full of hey bub, hey bub, hey bub, hey bub, hey bub. Legit, this makes me more angry than anything else on this show, and that's a high bar. But yeah, but those are the two movies that I paid to see, and obviously I didn't like them. So, which was what the expectation was. Yeah. So that's where, I mean, it's going to be an interesting year because we'll see how it goes for Disney, but I don't think The Mandalorian is going to be received very well. I don't think it'll do all that well financially. What will be really fascinating as we look toward the end of the year, the Marvel movie will do business. Doomsday will do business, but I'm really curious to see how both critics and fans react to it, because of that one, it's had a very messy production. And they're not even trying to hide how messy it's been, with all the actors like saying, oh yeah, we were here for like half a year. We didn't know what we were shooting. There was no script, but we had fun. And those trailers really falling flat of like Captain America will return in Avengers Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's apparently the main character there. Okay. So you're just doing Endgame again.
Mm-hmm.
You just literally doing, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was like, sorry, I heard a weird sound coming from my computer.
Stop.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't stop. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's bad.
Did you see that trailer for the A24 movie?
No, I tell you, I don't watch trailers.
No, you need to go watch it, because it reminds me of a scene. Was it?
What's the movie called? What's it about? I don't know, an A24 movie.
Crap. What is it called? Hold on. I don't want to look it up because I'm scared.
Then don't. I don't want to look at it either. So it's just not. I don't want to look at it either. Just don't.
Watch it
don't do
afterwards.
Okay.
It's like it's a horror movie, but it's like all audio.
No.
It's so like the trailer's really good.
So we could be looking at the end of the year with some really bad movies here from Disney, but that is, par for the course. I'll be curious to see what Toy Story 5 does. I'm sure the reactions are going to be positive with they did it again, and I guess we'll be the judge for ourselves. And again, don't forget, we have a stipulation. If a majority of us have a certain perspective, we're just not going to address the movie at all. We're going to move on. Because I will not entertain that.
I feel like it's going to be a, like, Tron incident again, where they're, like, against AI, but, like, they can't go all the way, because it's Disney.
Yeah, because they're for AI, and they love it. They're currently using it to crush working people, their own employees. So yeah, I've been interested to see that they have already screened Hoppers for critics, and that they've been getting some really interesting reactions.
I saw interesting good or interesting bad?
Bad. No, good. Sorry. Good reactions, like really good. I was like, wait a minute, what did you just ask me? It's late, guys.
I saw a little bit of what it was going to be about, and I fear it's going to ruin me.
I think it might be a really good movie.
Yeah.
But then again, Pixar animation, I'm telling you, it delivers, which is why I'm going to be forever pissed about how some movies got a really bad rap and how fucking Disney just like they nuclearized one movie in particular from last year, because that one, whatever issues they may have, that was way too good a movie to just say, we're going to drop the atom bomb on it and then act like it didn't exist. So, I mean, on the one hand, it gives me some hope that they're trying to prevent that disaster and, by getting these reviews out there. But I still struggle with this notion of, are people really going to go for an original animated movie by Disney in the era of original animated movies from Disney and Pixar being crushed by the competition of Disney Plus and the complete apathy of the audience member that says, well, I'm not going to pay money for that in the theater. I'll just wait for it to come on Disney Plus. How much is that going to once again fuck this movie over is my fear. The one instance where that miraculously did not occur for, I'm sure, a variety of different circumstances was Elemental. But aside from that, all the other ones have been... Encanto itself was a casualty of this. Don't you forget that. So if Encanto couldn't pull that around until it became a streaming sensation, I very much struggle with the idea of this film doing well with Disney Plus existing. And I fear for the rage bait that I'm going to be reading when that movie comes out. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this movie. Because, like, hey, Pixar for me, especially since, like, well, I mean, I like most of their movies, but especially since, like, 2020, this slate of movies, forget it. Like, they're for me, they're on a roll. And this looks interesting, this movie. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. So there is that. I will say, as we're gonna start bringing things somewhat of a close here by just like doing some housekeeping on some of the lingering projects that we have going on, some of our lingering thoughts. In the next couple of weeks, I assume we will be doing a top 10 show of the year, not 2025, but 2024. Yeah, that's why a few weeks ago, we had said, like, what are like your top 3 favorites right now? Because by the time we actually get to it, Peter has seen no movies. I'll tell you right now. Like, and he really pissed me off because I'm like, what do you mean it's been a fucking month and you've seen nothing since Marty Supreme? Meanwhile, in that time, I've seen like 20. Like, and I mean new releases, or new releases that were 2020 movies, or 2025 movies. And he's like, nope, nothing. And like for me, I'm basically ready to give a top 10 of 2025. But I'm gonna have to be held back because some people, I mean, we're not even out of 24 yet. We're thinking, I think we've decided to switch the formula, or I guess the format a little bit. In that, we're going to keep it mostly the same how we do with like, okay, your number 10, my number 10 is, their number 10. Let's just say, for example, if David picks Hamnet as number 10, and the other people, which I'm sure they'll have Hamnet on the list because it's Hamnet, they don't have to reveal where it is on their list until they get to that number. But instead of having to like stop and start a conversation, since Hamnet was invoked, everyone gets their feelings of Hamnet out of the way with. Like, we have an actual conversation about why that movie would be here and why it resonated. And people can say, it's on my list, but I will not tell you where it is ranked until we get to that number. But we're going to have just the movie conversation there. That way we can move on and not have to like come back to it. So we're going to try that for the 2024 list. But I will say, looking at 2025, that list is way better. Just putting it out there as far as like the movies that came out.
Actually watched movies.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have
So
a top 10 though.
Do you ever?
No.
No. So there's that. Also, okay, I got a scary email. Some of your passwords have appeared in a data leak.
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. That's scary. Anyway, I'm sure that'll work out. Yeah, that's not good. on Red Spotlight this year in the lead up to the release of Steven Spielberg's new movie, which, in my view, is the event of the summer, not the other Universal movie by Christopher Nolan, which is
sold out
it'll be
already.
what
I can't
it'll
watch
be.
it.
Why?
Just kidding.
Oh, okay. We are doing a retrospective series called the Spielberg Files on his movies. We already have one live on the channel, which is Duel, Sugarland Express, Jaws, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I don't know how often we're going to be doing it, but we want to make sure we get through all of it, if not most of it, before June or July, when that happens. And we've also been taking the time as well. I mean, we've been doing quite a bit. For one, you've been noticing a lot more shows lately, so there's that.
With me.
With you too, by the way. You actually are committing a lot. We'll see how long that lasts.
I'm already tired.
I know. You're committing a lot of time already because you said that you wanted to be on this show more often. And to my knowledge, you've not missed an episode this year.
I have. I was not in the Spielberg stuff.
Well, but you weren't invited there, so there's that.
To be fair, that's true. I didn't know you guys were doing that.
Yeah, no one told you about it, apparently. I didn't tell you about it, so
Nope.
I assume David didn't say anything, so...
Nope.
Oh, well. I mean...
I
don't care if you're there.
uninvited him today anyway, so it's fine.
To what? Oh, to this, I
Yeah.
guess? Okay, yeah. I mean, it's okay. But yeah, you've definitely already we can feel the difference, the energy, and I think you're definitely much more reactive and responsive to this stuff than David is. The stuff I mean at the very beginning, like David doesn't even know what to say sometimes. So with that stuff, so you're here for that, obviously. But we've also been recording some commentaries, which I would like to say what they are, and I would like to announce it, but at the moment, I'm not even sure. Has he even started working on the first one? He has? What update can you give me? How far along is it?
I'm not sure. Because I don't really know how he edits. I just know he's working on it.
Okay. Because it's been how many weeks since we recorded it? Since January 20th? Oh, it's been a month. I think it should... I wanted to be out before the end of the month. Because then we have the second one that we did last week. And then I'm assuming either next week or the week after, we're going to record the third one. Okay. And I got to tell you, I mean, can I say what they are? Or is it still... I fear that if I say it, it's going to take months for it to happen. I don't want that to happen. I want them to be out as soon as possible. Anyway,
I think they should
what
be
we've
fine.
been doing...
He's already working on them.
Okay. Well, can I just say, I've been having such an amazing time reacting to those and getting to see them with you guys. Like I'm happy that we've included a little bit more of that to just spice things up, because I feel like it can be a little bit like
depressing.
Well, yes, there's that too, but also just boring to do a regular like Red Spotlight show. So like between that, the Spielberg Files, and then this commentary series, I do feel it's like, okay, yes, like this is, and in fairness, we used to do this a lot more often when we had a lot more time, especially during the pandemic era, where we would have all these different like specials and serials, and that kind of had to go away because of our lives coming back and us having to do a million things left and right. But I'm just very grateful. I know it's not always going to be this way because things are going to get heated, I'm sure, as the weeks and months go by. But I, for one, am just very happy that we were able to squeeze all that in. I mean, it's fascinating to me how long January was
Mm-hmm.
and how February is basically already over.
I know. This month went by so fast.
Whereas January was eternal in like the worst way ever. So, yeah. But I mean, that's been the case for a while with like commentary, like reactions. Like we did some really good ones with As Above, So Below, Puss in Boots. It's out, right?
Yeah.
The Puss in Boots reaction. Okay, just it's hard to tell because a lot of these come out months after we record them, and then obviously the one that we did last with Little Mermaid, Elemental, Wizard of Oz. Those are such fun ones, and I'm hoping that as the year goes by, we want to do more of those. And I'm thinking, don't tell David this; he might not hear. I don't think he'll hear this, but I think
He edits this.
I don't know if he hears the whole thing, but even if he does, who cares, right? I mean, at some point we'll tell him. But I'm thinking that after we do the third one, if we want to keep doing like audio, no, well, that's not what that wasn't what I was thinking, because I was thinking something more selfishly, just to get him to act, to force him to see something that I've been wanting him to see.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, so, because I genuinely do think that would make a great reaction. Just because it's just that kind of movie. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how when he finally is forced to see it, if he then would then feel compelled to put it on his top 10 list of 2024. If you know what I mean there. So I think that would be the one to do, because that's what I really want to do. I mean, ideally, it would be cool if every 3 weeks at least we could like do one. Maybe not for him because he would have to edit it, but for us, it's like no big deal. It's a lot of fun, you know. But yeah. I don't have much to say as far as like new movies that I've seen. I have seen a few, but not much. I mean, I will say I ended up watching that Jay Kelly movie with George Clooney and Adam Sandler on Netflix, and I got to say, I wasn't expecting the greatest things. I also wasn't expecting the worst things. I was kind of curious to see how it would sit with me, and I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's fun, at times funny, but it's actually really introspective of a career in Hollywood. And I mean, I'm not sure if it has the most depth, but I'm not sure it needs that either. I think what it's going for, you definitely feel. And I thought it was a really affecting movie overall. So it's on Netflix for those that want to see. It's actually a beautifully looking movie too. Would have been nice to see it in a theater, but what you gonna do? Basically at that point. So yeah, there is that. And I'm still waiting for Peter to come back. I don't know where he's been. He's been working
Depressed out in the world,
nonstop. Maybe depressed, whatever. But I mean, I'd like to have him come back so we can review some movies that we've been waiting on for a month. But that being said, I'd also like for him to come back so we can actually do a top 10 show of the year before last. So there's that. As we come to a close, Alexis, is there anything you'd like to say or add about what's been on your mind? Maybe we didn't address something that you thought we should have as we start bringing it out to a close, or conveniently as we hit the 2-hour mark.
Oh. Everything sucks. But we're here.
Yep, that we are. Well, without any further ado, I want to go ahead and thank everyone for watching and listening to us. Stay tuned under our red spotlight for more content and more. Stay safe out there, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.